The first atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima.
Only humanity!
The fires of frustration and discord are burning in every
Let us
city.
not forget for a moment the toils and efforts that lie ahead.
They say that those who forget their history are condemned to repeat it. This is the History Lessons Podcast with certified financial planning practitioner Patrick Huey, author of History Lessons for the Modern Investor, and your guide to financial wisdom in the past, present, and future. You ready? Good. Let's get historical.
So, news broke last week that Chuck Norris had died, and the internet did exactly what you'd expect. Half heartfelt tributes, half jokes about time finally catching up with the one guy who could allegedly make onions cry and slam a revolving door. Underneath the humor is an idea we secretly love, and that is the invincible hero. The person who can take any hit, walk out of any explosion, and roundhouse kick the plot back into place. A lot of people want their investments to work like that. They see war headlines, court rulings on tariffs, oil prices spiking, markets wobbling, and they think, I need a Chuck Norris type of portfolio, something that never goes down, never scares me, and always, always wins. Well, here's the bad news. It doesn't exist.
That's not the way it works.
And if losing Chuck Norris teaches us anything, it's that real life looks a lot different from the movies. The point isn't to build something invincible. It's to build something resilient. That means owning a mix of investments so one punch doesn't knock you out. It means holding enough cash for near-term needs so you're not forced to sell at the worst possible moment. And it means letting time and compounding do the heavy lifting instead of trying to land the perfect kick on every single headline. Chuck Norris jokes aside, neither people nor portfolios are bulletproof. But with a real plan, diversified, patient, and sized to your life, you don't need them to be. You just need them to take a hit, stay on their feet, and keep moving forward toward your goals. After the break, I'm back with this week's history lesson for the modern investor.
This episode is sponsored by Victory Independent Planning. At VIP, our mission is simple. Live well, do good. We build strong relationships with good people and help them turn money into what really matters. Retiring without worry, traveling more, supporting family, or funding the causes and projects they care about most. Based in Naples, Florida, and Portland, Oregon, we serve clients nationwide with comprehensive fiduciary advice, retirement income planning, custom investment portfolios, tax strategy, healthcare and Medicare decisions, and estate and legacy planning, all carefully organized around your unique goals. If you're ready for a plan that puts your best interests first, visit victoryindependentplanning.com and schedule your VIP consultation.
On March 24th, 1972, The Godfather premiered nationwide. These are some offers you can't refuse, and some you should. When The Godfather rolled out nationwide, March 24th, 1972, studio executives hoped for a hit. Well, what they got was something closer to a cultural earthquake. Francis Ford Coppola's adaptation of Mario Puzo's novel wasn't just another gangster movie. It was the gangster movie. It was an operatic saga about family, power, loyalty, and the cost of doing business in the shadows.
Don't ask me about my business, Kate.
Marlon Brando's Vito Corleone mumbled his way into film history. Al Pacino's Michael Corleone traced one of cinema's great character arcs from reluctant son to calculating boss. Lines from the script seeped into everyday language. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse, became shorthand for any deal that seemed too good or too threatening to turn down.
My father made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
What's easy to forget decades later is how messy the production actually was. The studio had its doubts about Coppola. There were fights about casting, budget, and tone. The movie was almost set in modern-day Kansas City instead of 1940s New York in order to save money. Pacino was nearly fired. In other words, a towering classic looked for long stretches like a risky, over-budget project that just might flop. Only with hindsight does the whole thing feel inevitable. At the time, it was a series of uncertain decisions under real pressure, held together by a director with a clear vision and a willingness to ignore some very tempting offers to compromise. For investors and retirees, The Godfather is more than a quotable film on your preferred streaming service, DVD, or even VHS if you are of a certain age. It's a reminder that deals that feel irresistible often come with terms you'd rather not pay, and that the best long-term outcomes usually involve patience, discipline, and saying no more often than you say yes. Here then are 4 lessons for the modern investor from The Godfather. First, not every offer you can't refuse is a good one. In the film, that famous line often signals a proposal backed by an implicit threat.
Deal is so good that we can't refuse.
In the financial world, the threat is more subtle. At least I hope so. Fear of missing out, pressure from your peers, or slick marketing. Guaranteed high returns, secret strategies, or deals that everyone is getting in on can feel impossible to turn down until you read the fine print. A sound plan assumes you'll be pitched offers on a regular basis and builds in a default answer. If it doesn't fit my goals, my risk tolerance, and my time horizon, I can, in fact, refuse it.
A refusal is not the act of a friend.
Second, family business versus personal goals. Now, not to turn into a film student here, but much of the drama in The Godfather comes from Michael's struggle. The struggle between who he is or who he thinks he is and what the family business ultimately demands of him. In money terms, many people inherit their own scripts, explicit or unspoken, about risk, spending, giving, and work from their families. Some are helpful, others not so much. Building a financial plan is partly about honoring your values and partly about deciding which family stories you're not going to continue. Whether that's always betting everything on one venture or never talking about money at all.
This one time I'll let you ask me about my affairs.
Third, long games beat short scores. Vito and later Michael think in decades, alliances, territories, successors, not just in the next deal. Successful investing is similarly long-term. Quick wins and clever trades, they might feel exciting, but compounding over 20, 30, or 40 years is where real wealth comes from. And that requires boring virtues. Regular savings, staying invested through downturns, rebalancing when things get out of whack, and resisting the urge to settle every score in the next quarter.
And as a reasonable man, I'm willing to do whatever's necessary to find a peaceful solution.
Finally, this week, beware of mixing business and emotion. In The Godfather, decisions made in anger or pride, that revenge hit or impulsive move, well, they usually end up backfiring. The coldest calculus tends to win for better or worse. In your own portfolio, emotion-driven moves often do the most damage. Think panic selling in a downturn, or over-investing after a windfall, or making big shifts because of politics rather than data. Having a written plan and a solid process your own version of a family code minus the criminal element, makes it easier to pause before you take a hit by acting on a feeling that could cost you years of progress.
And you knew it was the right thing to do.
Here's my final thought for this week. At the end of The Godfather, the office door closes on Michael as he fully assumes the role his father once held. It's a chilling image of a succession completed for better and for worse. In our world, doors close too. Careers end. Inheritances change hand. Responsibilities shift. The question is not whether power and assets will move. It's whether they'll move according to a thoughtful plan or as the byproduct of rushed decisions and unexamined offers.
Congratulate you. I know you do very well, and good luck to you.